As you work in Google Docs, you may find that you have created a really long document or maybe even a complicated document, and you would like for your readers to be able to find, say, page 25 or chapter 3 very easily. Well, how do you do that? One of the things that you can do is create a table of contents. Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and let's look at how you can create a table of contents in Google Docs. As we look at our example document here, we can see that it is just a start for a vacation log of some kind, maybe a daily diary of where this family expects to go on a short trip and have a short vacation. While we have a beginning paragraph for the different places that they want to visit, chances are this is going to be expanded quite a bit as they visit different attractions along the way. And so we can see that, of course, we have a one-sentence introduction here about their vacation and that they're going to go to St. Louis first. And then as we scroll down, we can see that they're going to go to Illinois, to Metropolis. And then as we go down farther, we can see that they're going to go to Paducah, Kentucky. And then finally, their last stop is going to be Nashville. And I suppose it's just a given that they're going to have more than one paragraph about Nashville. They have, though, already put each of those stops on a single page so that they are preparing to give themselves a lot of space to have the kind of document that they want to have. Now, what we can do is scroll back up to the top. And to create a table of contents, the best thing that we can do is add a heading style to the places where we want to refer within that table of contents. So first stop, St. Louis. I can select that. And then in the toolbar where it says normal text, that is the list of styles. So I can click the drop down. And I could say, well, I want to have heading 1. Now heading 1 looks kind of large. So I might decide that since all of these are going to be the same heading, that I might even go with heading 2 just because it's a little bit smaller. I could modify it if I decide to, but let's start with heading 2. And that looks plenty big. Let's see, it is 16 points. So yes, it's quite big enough. And then as I scroll down, I can also make next stop Metropolis, again, a style, heading 2, apply that, and then come down to the next page and select even more fun, Paducah, and go to heading 2, and go to my last page, select last stop, Nashville, Tennessee, and go to heading 2, so that now all of the different sections of this log have a heading 2 as a starting base, and then we'll do Control Home to go back to the top. When I add table of contents, generally it's going to be the very first page of the document. So I'm going to click just to the left of where my title is, Our Vacation, and I'm going to type table of contents and press enter, because Docs doesn't automatically add the words table of contents to a table of contents. And then I want to click where I want to add that table of contents. So I think I'm going to press enter one more time and then go up using my up arrow, because this is where I want to place that table of contents. Now I'm ready to add the table of contents. So I'm going to go to Insert, And then as I go down this long list of possibilities, I find I even need to scroll. And my very last choice here is table of contents. Now, table of contents has two choices. As you can see, I can either add a table of contents with page numbers, or I can add it with blue links. Well, let's start with page numbers and click. And because I had those heading styles on my words that I wanted to make kind of the breaking point and the ones that I want in my table of contents, look at that, just very quickly. And notice that the table of contents is in bold when I look at the toolbar. Now, here's something interesting in that I can't update the table of contents at any time if I decide that I want to do that. You may find that this is a little disconcerting because generally the table of contents is on its own page. Well, we can fix that as well. So I'm going to click below that table of contents that's been generated and of course above my title. And I'm going to go to Insert, and then I'm going to insert a break. Now I could enter a page break, but here's what happens with that. If I add in just a page break, the table of contents will be on its own page, but it will also have the same kind of numbering as the rest of the document. So the table of contents will become page 1. And generally, you want the first page of your document text to be page 1. So rather than do that, I'm going to come down to section break and create a next page. So the table of contents will be on one page. My document about my vacation will start on the next page, and we can click next page. So you can even see our vacation. I'm going to delete some of that extra space, but as I go up to the first page now, I can see that I have table of contents with all of the page numbers. I have the blue dashed line showing that I have the next page break. Let's go down to the end of our document, and I'm just going to scroll down to get to the end because I might decide that I want to add one more vacation spot. So first of all, I'm going to use Control Enter to create a new page. And then I'm going to put in another heading and title, something like really. This is the last stop, whatever that is. And of course, we need to make that heading 2. So we'll go back to normal text styles and select heading 2. Then when I press Control Home, it didn't just automatically update. So what I can do is click in my table of contents, and I get kind of a redo arrow that points to the right, and it says let's update the table of contents. So let's click on that icon, and now I have that new addition. So you can update your table of contents very easily by clicking on the table of contents and then using that little icon to add any updates. As we look at our document now and we scroll down, we can see that as we get to the second page of the document, overall, First Stop St. Louis really should be page 1 of our text. And yet, when I look at my table of contents, oops, it says page 2. Well, how can we fix that? Well, for one thing, we need to insert page numbers that we haven't inserted. So let's start at the beginning here and let's go to Insert, and we want to insert page numbers. And we don't want to do a page count. We want to go to more options. So for our table of contents, we want to apply to this section, and I always like my page numbers in the footer. We don't want to show this on the first page, and we don't want to start at 1. We really kind of just want to leave it blank if we can. Now it says that we can't, so we'll leave it in here, but we're not going to show it on the first and only page within this section. So it should just be kind of blank, and we'll apply. So as I scroll down, it should show no page numbers, and that's correct. Now let's go to our next section and go back to Insert, Page Numbers, More Options. Now this is section 2. We want it in the footer, and while you don't always show page numbers on the first page, in this case, let's do that just so that we can see it. But we want to start, of course, at 1, and we certainly don't want to continue from the previous section because that would make it a 2. So we'll click Apply. And now as I scroll down, while it's page 2 of the file, it is page 1 of my text. And here is page 2. That is correct. Now let's go back up to the table of contents because it's still showing First Stop St. Louis as a 2. Let's update the table of contents. And now it's showing First Stop St. Louis is page 1, and it's not including the table of contents in my page numbering. I've reset our example document so that it looks somewhat like it did at the beginning, so that we can look at the second way a table of contents can look. And we're just going to start here at the beginning and type table of contents. Now you'll notice again that it's just normal text. I don't necessarily want to add that as part of the table of contents. It seems like it's the title of the table of contents. So I'm just going to make it bold and then make it larger, but I'm not going to apply a heading style to it. Then I'm going to click where my table of contents should go, and we'll go to Insert and then scroll down to the bottom to Table of Contents. And this time select with blue links. And notice that we've lost page numbers because we have now links where we can simply click on the link and it takes us to that part of the document. Now again, I would want to be sure to insert a break, and it needs to be a section break just to keep the table of contents separate from the rest of the document. So we'll do section break, next page. And then I'm going to delete any extra space that happened here in my document. And so now I can go to my table of contents, and as I click on First Stop, notice that it's just going to give me my little pointy finger. I can click and it takes me to that page. Let me go to Control Home again, and let's go to Last Stop, Nashville. Now the interesting part here is I'm actually clicking on that text that is blue and underlined, and then I need to come down to get the pointy finger so that I can click on it and go to that particular place within the document. But still, this is the last page of this document that has any kind of heading style, and it takes me right there very easily. No scrolling through the document to find what I want. So 2 different approaches to how you might want to set up your table of contents. To learn even more, be sure to go to mymcpl.org/online learning for such great resources as Universal Class, LinkedIn Learning, Learning Express Library, and Udemy Business. We also premiere 2 new videos every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock. If you miss a video premiere, you'll still be able to find it later when it's convenient for you. You can find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, and you can find us on YouTube by going to our MCPL MO channel. From there, be sure to look for our MCPL Consumer Technology Resources playlist, which contains all of our tech videos.